Hi, I will start this over again. Good morning. My name is Ana Armenta. I am the Arizona Racing Commission. Today is July 13th, 2023. This is the 713th Arizona Racing Commission regular meeting taking place via Meet. I will do the roll call. Chair Coolidge,
Present.
Vice Chair Olson is absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
Present.
Commissioner York.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. It is now 10:10 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll go ahead and call to order the 713th Arizona Racing Commission meeting of Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Jumping right into the action items of B1, the continuation of hearing on possible revocation of commercial live racing permit of J&J Equine Enterprises, LLC, DBA Arizona Downs, pursuant to ARS 5-10802. Again, this is just a continuation as we move forward regarding the case in the matter of the J Corp Partners, LLC, DBA Arizona Downs. That's ADOR permit number R5001, case number 23A016DOR. My name is Charles Coolidge. I'm the chairman of the Arizona Racing Commission. Previously, J&J Equine Enterprises, DBA Arizona Downs, submitted for an application for a 3-year commercial permit for calendar years 22, 23, and 24. On May 4th, 2023, the Arizona Racing Division issued a notice of intent to revoke that commercial racing permit previously issued to Arizona Downs at the direction of the Racing Commission for failing to run a live race meeting in the calendar year 2023 due to revenue shortfalls. On June 15th, 2023, the Arizona Racing Commission held an administrative hearing. Following the close of those proceedings, the commission took the matter under advisement and advised that it would render a decision within 30 days. Today, the commission will continue to consider and discuss the matter and issue a decision. Please understand that the evidentiary portion of the hearing is now closed. This is not the time for parties to re-argue the cases or present any new evidence. So that said, I just wanted to confirm that all the commissioners, and I know Commissioner Olson is not here, but she would have a conflict anyways, have had a chance to review all of the materials, which I realize we might not have had that chance on the previous commission. And just wanted to make sure everybody had time to review and be up to speed on all materials presented to the commission. Commissioner York, did you
Yes.
get a chance to review this? And Commissioner Contreras, you did the same?
Absolutely, yes.
So now we can go into the discussion side of this. If y'all have anything that you have any questions through those materials or have any discussion points that you want to discuss during the meeting.
I move to executive session, please.
I would second that.
Madam Secretary?
Yes, thank you. With a motion from Commissioner York and a second from Commissioner French Contreras to move to executive session. I will take the roll call. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson, Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
With a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes. And we move into executive session. Thank you. I think everyone is back in. I can't tell if Commissioner French Contreras is back in.
I'm here.
Yes. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hold on. Give me a second. I'll have to get out and get back in. Okay, sorry about that. I will take the roll call. Looks like everyone is back in. Chair Coolidge,
Present.
Vice Chair Olson, absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
I'm here.
Commissioner York.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. It is 10:41 a.m.
I'm going to go ahead and open the floor back up to my commissioners before I ask my questions, if they have any.
I don't have any additional questions.
I'm good right now, Chairman. Thank you.
I'll jump into mine. Do we have one of the authors on?
Yeah, this is Dave Author.
Hey, Dave. I know we've heard a couple of different answers to this question, but I just wanted to ask, do you plan on running a race meet now?
Without a permit or with a permit?
Are you planning on running a race meet if you're allowed?
If we're allowed, yes.
Do you have,
We submitted the dates for May of 2024.
not so worried about the dates as I am the financial background to do so?
We will get the financial background to run another meet in May of 2024, beginning with trying to reopen our OTB system, which has been gutted by the division, including today's meeting where one of our OTBs is apparently getting snatched up by Turf Paradise. But we will start with that, and we'll get the money together, and we'll meet with the horsemen, and we'll negotiate a length of a meet that makes sense under the circumstances that exist at that time. And we'll resubmit whatever financial information you need next, prior to that meet to convince you that we can do it.
What was the thought process behind not running, in a M&A world, once you have identified a contract to be acquired, you want to continue keeping your P&L on order? What was the thought process to turn the lights off until the acquisition happened?
Let me see if I understand your question. When we had a contract signed with Stronach, let me back up even further. We've been negotiating with Stronach for over a year, and their intention was to close at the beginning of 2023. And under that scenario, the running and the planning and all of that was going to be done by Stronach, and they would either approach the horsemen and the commission and say, we're going to rehab the track and install a turf course and take a year off from running, so that in the next year we'd have a brand new setup with new turf track, with new stalls, etc. As those negotiations continued up to December of 2022, and the Stronach folks said, well, honestly, we want to see what happens at Turf Paradise, among other things, And if they were to close, like we expect that they will, that will influence the timing of when we want to close the purchase of your track. So we went further along with them, and the closing date for that purchase from us was starting to stall later and later into 2023, up to the point where it became clear that they were not going to close and run a meet that they were going to finance for the typical May through September meet of 2023. So, and they didn't want us to set up a meet because they might have closed right in the middle of it and they wouldn't have been permitted. And so it got quite complicated. So we submitted what we submitted to you to run, to take this summer off and to run the next year. In the meantime, Stronach became disillusioned, I guess, with the Racing Commission and with the Racing Division, and concluded that they were not going to buy the track. Concluded is probably too strong a word, but they moved into more of a wait and see mode. So we don't know if they're going to come back, or we don't know if somebody else will come back. As you know, there's a lot of upheaval right now with respect to whether or not Turf Paradise will close, and if they do, which we expect that they will very soon, we'll have one OTB system which would be directed to Arizona Downs, which makes a substantial difference in our financial capabilities. So I don't know, Chuck, if I'm answering your question accurately, but that's what happened, and that's what's still going on.
Still running.
And we will still run during one of the things that's bugging us is you keep talking about calendar year permit. That we've never had a calendar year permit. We've had a fiscal year permit for 3 years, and we're still going to be running during that particular fiscal year in May. So anyway, that's my long answer to your question.
Appreciate the transparency on it. Before I make a motion, I'll open it up to see if my other commissioners have any other questions or motions. Otherwise, I will move forward.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to state that it's not particularly a motion at this point, but I just feel, reflecting on last month's hearing and some of the options we have afforded to us, that the industry and Arizona Downs would be best served if we moved to, sorry, I have to look at it, assign this matter to the hearing officer. But that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Wanted to get that out there.
Well, then I think you'll appreciate my motion. So my comments are, I was not very happy with how the hearing went in the last commission meeting. I wasn't very happy with the amount of time that we received the documents. Obviously, now we've had some time to review those documents. And as far as some of the matters is not being able to have the appropriate people testify where we needed them, I tend to agree with you, Commissioner York. So that said, I would make a motion to assign the matter to OA, or the Office of Administrative Hearings.
Chairman Coolidge,
Sorry.
this is Candace. And I agree with you. I think the potential or possible due process issues at the last hearing before the commission was questionable, and I think the parties would be best served by assigning this matter to a hearing officer at OA. And so I would second your motion.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Secretary.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner French Contreras. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson is absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses. Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. Just for clarity, we will see what OS says and it will come back to the commission. So we'll look forward to the results of that and have a final result here. Moving
And
down
Chair,
to
Chair Coolidge, I just want to confirm for the public then that Prescott Downs has the ability to continue business pending final resolution, correct?
Arizona Downs they still have a license at this point. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Move down to 2B, the request for Turf Paradise off-track betting facility at Loop Greenway, American Legion, Post 1. Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak. What you have before you is request to reopen the off-track betting location at the American Legion. The American Legion was an off-track betting location for Turf Paradise for many years. It had terminated the agreement with Turf Paradise right after the pandemic and signed an agreement with with Arizona Downs. That agreement had expired. So once we found out that it expired, we reached out to the new commander, and the new commander was more than happy to sign a new agreement with us. We went to the city of Phoenix to get approval. It was approved at the city of Phoenix from the local governing authority. And so therefore the packet before you has all the necessary approvals and addresses all the requirements that are necessary for the off-track betting. So we would ask that you would approve it and move forward.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the input. Looks like all the documents are in order. Mr. Billingsley? You have a hand raised?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to add, during the period that the Legion decided to switch to Turf Paradise, our ability to operate had been suspended because the horsemen cut our signal on the advice of the division. So, you know, I would like to know if the Legion would rather go with us if we had the ability to operate.
Not sure if that's directed at us or the Legion as a whole, sir.
Well, it was direct. I just thought it would be something that you would be interested in. I mean,
Well,
we would,
I think that's between you and the Legion to make that decision, have that discussion. It wouldn't be something that we would do.
yeah, well, we weren't an operable player. We'd been emasculated as with regard to operating an OTB.
Appreciate it, sir. Any feedback or motions from my commissioners on this item?
Chair Coolidge, I would just like to say that given the flux that our industry is in today, I would prefer to see what the plan is from Turf Paradise as far as their upcoming meet before I would approve any OTBs.
This is Jerry Sims. I'd like to make a comment.
Mr. Sims, go ahead, sir.
We're still operating a business. We have overhead to pay. We have employees. We have staff. We have an approval from the city. It seems like every leniency goes to Prescott. And when we just want to get an OTB approved, we're meeting this kind of resistance. And I can tell you on my end, I don't appreciate it. We've done everything right. We're running our business. We just finished a long meet, and we have an OTB that was our OTB. They decided to go with us, and I don't want to be hindered by that we all of a sudden can't open OTBs. This is very discouraging to even hear that comment. I'm sorry, but I would ask you to go ahead. We followed all the rules.
As feedback of that comment, sir, I think what the commissioner is asking is to have a transparent understanding on what your business will be doing moving forward. There are a lot of rumors and non-direct statements being thrown around, which is why I can't speak for the commissioner, but I think that's where her question's coming from.
We're working right now with the Horsemen. I'm sure they can echo in. Several days ago, they gave us a new contract. We sent it on to the director, and he has it. And we're in negotiations with them. That's the current status.
I think That is all the commissioner was looking for, sir.
Okay, then I retract my statement. Sorry.
Thank you.
But I just feel that when we get something done, we dot all the i's, we get running our business right, and then all of a sudden there should be, hey, great, you're going to enlarge the business, you're going to employ more people. You know, these are all good things. More revenue for the horsemen, more revenue for the track, all positive things. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Any motions from my commissioners? Commissioner French Contreras, I got something from you, but it wasn't.
No, I'm not going to make a motion at this point.
Otherwise, everyone knows where I stand as far as new OTBs. So if there's no motions, I'm going to move forward.
So you're not going to vote
I'm
on
fine
this
with that,
OBB?
Commissioner.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
I'm fine with that if you want to move on to the next item.
Going down to B3, simulcast agreements pursuant to ARS 5-112U for Turf Paradise, Sonoma County Fair. It's like these matters are in order. Mr. Duncan, any feedback that you have from us on this?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. There is no new updates. The contract was supplied and all is in order.
Thank you, sir. I'll move that we approve Turf Paradise's simulcast agreement pursuant to ARS 5-112U for the Sonoma County Fair.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Chair Coolidge and a second from Commissioner York. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson is absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses. Thank you. That motion passes.
Dropping down to 4B, the simulcast horse racing import signal pursuant to IHA section 3004A3 for Turf Paradise. As stated, we are still missing some documents, Mr. Duncan, unless I am missing some.
Chairman, there are still documents. The host commission and horseman approvals have not been turned in yet.
Appreciate it, sir. I will move that we conditionally approve Turf Paradise's Sonoma County Fair pursuant that the Turf Paradise gives the department the appropriate information and let the department move forward with that so the permittee doesn't see any delays.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Chair Coolidge and a second from Commissioner York. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson is absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses. Thank you. That motion passes with conditional approval.
We'll drop down to the track safety report. Dr. Gale, I haven't seen you, but I assume you're around here.
Yes, thank you, Chair Coolidge and Commissioners. I'd like to do more of a review of some of the other preventative steps that are taken in regard to safety. There's not been racing, so no changes in statistics. I did make requests of Stride Safe to try to get some information on some of the results. I'd be most interested in what the readings were on horses that turned up to had to get put on the vet list for being unsound after races, or even perhaps those that were found unsound on one pre-race exam but were able to work off the vet list and raced at a later date once they were found sound. There have been a couple of articles about this program. There was one about Rito and its impact on their safety. There was another one about Churchill Downs and some of the issues they've had this year. So that's what I have on Stride Safe. Some of the other activities that have been undertaken to help reduce horse injuries and such is directing horses into second careers. Again, a racehorse maybe has a few years to run, and they live 20 some years, and so they often need to find other things to do once the racing career is over. Breeding, of course, is an option, certainly for mares, and then there are also some Arizona-based stallions. For instance, the Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association lists 3-member breeding farms on their website, and also lists 16 Arizona sires that are at stud. The last information on Arizona bred foals was from 2021 from the Jockey Club, and there were 76 live foals that year. On the quarter horse side, again, there are probably about 2 or 3 farms that breed and raise horses, breed and raise foals on site. The thing that's different in quarter horse racing as opposed to thoroughbreds have to do a direct service, live service. The horses have to be together to breed. Quarter horses do allow semen collection, and that semen can be shipped around the country for artificial insemination. So Arizona based horses or studs are being used around the country. Just a couple of numbers in terms of number of horses. I don't have a number of foals that hit the ground in recently for quarter horses, but for this past season at Turf Paradise in the fall futurity for 2-year-olds, there were 18 entries, and then for Arizona Breed Day for 3-year-olds and up, there were 17 entries, and I'm sure there were more horses that are Arizona bred that ran that may not have entered in some of these premier stake races. So that's the breeding side of it. The other thing is that, again, there are a number of horses that do get injured, but their injuries are recoverable, but perhaps not suitable for racing in the future. I counted the number of horses vanned off just for the Turf Paradise meet, this last meet. And again, there's many reasons that horses can be vanned off. Sometimes it's an injury, but it's not as severe. Or the track veterinarian will take into assessment the condition of the horse. And again, vanning the horse is the safest thing to do to prevent further injury, and then let the trainer and their attending veterinarian evaluate the horse's injuries and such. Otherwise, they can certainly, horses will tie up or get crampy and need to be transported just because walking is so difficult. Perhaps heat stress is another reason. So there's non-musculoskeletal reasons as well as the musculoskeletal reasons. Now, some horses, we did have a couple of years ago, or 2020, when we had a meet, I think there was something like 100 horses that were post-race lame. This last year, it was not quite that number. So again, the pre-race exams we're doing now, I think, are being more effective in reducing that number. But there are horses that do suffer injuries, fractures, in fact. And so the next option that is available is rehab and rescue organizations. And so I want to acknowledge, for instance, Desert Oasis Rescue is down in Tucson. They work closely with Rio. In fact, in 2021, there was an article about a thoroughbred that did fracture an ankle, sesamoid bone, but was taken care of by the folks at Desert Oasis. And it's not going to return to racing. It may not even return to riding, but is a happy, healthy horse otherwise. The department does give grants, adoption grants from fines that are collected during the year, a portion of those fines. In the year 2022, $15,000 was awarded to Desert Oasis, and then here in 2023, $28,000 was awarded to Oasis. Another thoroughbred rehab and rescue organization named after the home stretch is located in North Phoenix. And that particular organization is part of the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. They do get some grant money from that organization. And there was a story of a horse that did get injured at Turf Paradise last fall. Turned out it had a knee fracture. And that organization went ahead and paid for the surgery for that fracture to be repaired. And that horse may actually go on to some other discipline, whether it be dressage or trail riding or such. On another note, I want to acknowledge that the Arizona HBPA does also have a rescue fund. And then there's the individual horsemen and women on the backside that work very hard to rehome or have horses adopted that need to be retired because, again, either they're not performing, perhaps they have some kind of chronic issue, injury, but again, they can maybe go on to other uses. And just recently, there was a story about a neglected horse that one of the local horsemen took in. It was thin. Again, just with some simple proper nutrition, that horse is doing really well. And so again, there are a number of folks on the backside, and there's probably dozens of horses that they find other places to go after the racetrack. Any questions about that particular comment or category?
Doctor, how is the awards determined, such as what was received by Desert Oasis?
There's
Do
an
they-
application.
Go ahead.
Sorry. There's an application process, and it's rather intense. It requires, again, 501c3 status. Basically, the requirements we have are very close to the accreditation process required by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. So again, just people try to make sure the people are of a quality that are going to make sure the horses either have forever homes at the rehab facility or the adoptions that they make are to legitimate folks or folks that are going to take care of the horse and not do anything else, sell it off. Because again, a lot of these rehab facilities will take a horse back. If someone takes a horse and the adoption doesn't work out, oftentimes the rehab facility will accept the horse back rather than have it go someplace else.
Right. Or send it down the road. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Great. Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Another question?
No, thank you.
Okay. The second area that I want to address, and again, this is a large regulatory piece. I don't know if Lloyd, do you have a question on or you got to unmute?
Yeah, Doc Gale, you asked me to get some information together on the rescue stuff. This is Leroy Guessman. Doc Gale?
Yes. Well, yeah, I had asked a little bit just about, again, how many horses you think you may have helped over this past year, or how much money the rescue fund of the AZ HBPA gave to this purpose.
Yeah, we raised around $9,000 last year by doing a $1 start fee per horse. And we are going to be raising that next year to $3 a start. We have given a donation as well to Desert Oasis. We also work up until this last year giving donations to Encore down in Tucson. I have been involved in 3 or 4 projects over the year. When people have come to me, it's kind of a last resort. Like you said, we have 3 or 4 ladies on the backside that work on rehoming horses and do an excellent job with it. And I know Cass down at Desert Oasis takes in horses probably more horses than she should, so we will try and get some more money to her. But our goal is to raise. We are currently forming a group that'll be part of the foundation of the HBPA. That'll be a 501(c) that is being headed up by Terry Ferguson, Cynthia George. We also have Carrie Fales and Mary Tate all working on this project, and we are trying to get it organized and set up this summer. So when we start, if we have a race meet in the fall, hopefully we do, we will be starting to collect a $3 per start fee, and they will all be involved in helping us rehome horses. So we'll be a little more organized and in the future. We just, as you mentioned, we just recently rescued a horse. We just found out this week. We thought this horse was a thoroughbred. We could not get the tattoo number off the lip. But after doing a DNA test with the Jockey Club, we found out the horse was a quarter horse. And so now we're trying to send the DNA. We have sent the DNA to the Quarter Horse Association, waiting for results from them to find out who the last trainer was that raced this horse. But this horse came in very undernourished, had been savaged by the other horses it was in the pen with, had several bite marks on it, was in terrible shape. We took it out to Carrie Fales Farm and gave it tender loving care for the last probably 45 days now. And the horse is doing very well and has put the majority of its weight back on. So, and now we have a permanent home for it where it will be a pasture horse. So we are working on things case by case, and we hope to expand this with our new group. And like I said, we're working on organizing that this summer. That's all, unless you have any other questions.
Mr. Yother, it's very commendable. I really appreciate personally everything that everyone does to rehome and protect these horses after their racing careers are over. I know it's a costly endeavor. It takes a lot of compassion, work, money, time, and space. I know feed isn't cheap right now, and the weather isn't helping, but I personally want to thank you and the groups that do this work.
Thank you.
Thank you also, Commissioner and Leroy. Again, just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge the people that do all this work behind the scenes, again, to find second careers for racehorses. The second topic I'm going to cover just in a few minutes. Again, drug testing is one of the main regulatory responsibilities of the department. That's where I spend most of my time, is in the test barn collecting samples. In the past year at all tracks, we did approximately 1,900 tests, or tested 1,900 horses. All winners are tested, and then also steward selected horses, oftentimes the second place finishers, and especially in some of the bigger stakes races. Of those 1,900 tests, we did have 17 that had adverse results or positive findings. That's not quite 1%. Of those, 10 of them were therapeutic medications that were over, there's limits that are established. And the most common of those was Banamine, which is an anti-inflammatory pain medication for horses. And a possible explanation of this is perhaps folks using oral paste as opposed to injection, because that just simply takes longer to get out of the horse's system. On the prohibited list, we had 7 findings, and they ranged from heart medications, bronchodilators, stimulants, hormones, in this case, a hormone Regumate, which is used to address in-heat behavior in female horses. which in this case is a medication that was allowed in California, and the horse came to Arizona. Unfortunately, here it is not. So that horse ran into a difference in rules across state lines. There were investigations that our staff then performed that were prompted by these findings. And in those cases, we did also find some additional violations of needles, syringes, injectable medications in barns and tack rooms, which of course is only by rule only allowed to be possessed by veterinarians. And so the other topic that is new is that since May 22nd, 2023, all thoroughbred testing in the nation is being done by HIWU, with a couple of exceptions of tracks that are not participating in interstate simulcast wagering. They have published some of their first penalties. Again, for therapeutic medications, there are penalties that include the loss of purse, generally a fine and possibly suspension for the trainer. For the banned medications that just have no business generally being in horses, and there's quite a lengthy list, 1,000 or more. And this actually, the list in thoroughbred racing is similar to the federal equine or the International Equine Organization's list of prohibited medications. One of the things that happens if a banned substance is found in a horse is that trainer is provisionally suspended immediately. And there have been a couple of these cases already. And they face a 2-year suspension plus fines. And the horse is also suspended from participating in racing for 30 days. So that's quite an increase of penalties beyond what we've been doing, but that's what the law is. Currently, the Fifth Circuit has received documents on their appeal hearing. That hearing is about constitutionality. It'll take place in October. I'm sure Leroy will have some more comments about that. But if they find that it is constitutional, then there'll be some major differences in medication, allowable medications in the state of Arizona. And just one specific example of that are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like phenylbutazone, Banamine, and Ketofen. The limits that we have in Arizona rules have not changed in some time. So that for bute, our limit is 5 nanograms per mil. However, under the HISA rules, it's 0.2 nanograms per mil. The same is for Banamine, 20 nanograms per mil is our limit, and 4 is the limit under the national program. And one of the key differences also is that we allow, under Arizona rules, administration of these medications within 24 hours. Again, one single medication. If there's more than one of these detected, that's an entirely different penalty. Whereas HISA has moved all pre-race medications out to 48 hours. There's nothing that can be given within 48 hours. Well, I shouldn't say nothing. There's some anti-ulcer drugs, some electrolytes. There's very few exceptions to what can be given to a horse within 48 hours of a race. So I just, again, want to kind of put that out there for the horsemen to consider in preparation for upcoming meets, that should this law continue to be in place, it's going to mean some big changes in their management. Jim Bogart has a question. I don't know if you're on mute. Yep, you're muted. If you can't get your mic working, you could also put a comment in the chat if that works for you. Any questions from the commissioners?
No, Dr. Gill. Thank you very much.
Okay, looks like Jim put his hand down. I'm certainly available if there's any questions, or folks can send a text to Anna during this meeting if there's other concerns or questions, and she could forward those to me as well. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm going to skip down actually, as I have a, where do they post the information? Dr. Gale, do you see Jim's question while we knock that down real fast?
Yes, the question was, where do they post the information? HIWU is the Horse Racing Integrity and Welfare Unit, which is responsible for the anti-doping and controlled medication program. Their website is hiwu.org. And I'll put that in this little chat box as well. They do post violations on that website that are pending, as well as those that have been fully closed. Thank you.
So I'm going to jump down to the commission reports really briefly, only because I have an 11:30 conflict. Hoping, actually, Commissioner York and Commissioner French Contreras, I don't know which one of you have been on the longest, but hoping one of you might step in as my vice chair for this meeting to roll through the rest of the permittee reports and the budget report. Just wanted to let everyone know that I have been in discussions with the department to start meetings in person. There are some IT items that need to be updated there. So hoping that that can be the next meeting as we move forward. We will make them available online as well, but just need to make sure that we have everything so we don't have any hiccups as far as that goes. Otherwise, we'll drop down to the
Excuse me,
budget report.
Chairman, this is Jerry Sims. May I ask a question prior to you leaving the meeting?
Go ahead.
Hold on. I have Valerie here with me.
Under Turf Paradise reports.
Mr. Sims? Mr.
Yes,
Sims?
thank you.
Hold on 1 second, sir.
Sure.
Madam Secretary, go ahead.
I have Val Marciano sitting here with me. She would like to say something.
Yes, good morning, Chairman Coolidge. I just wanted to comment, if you are leaving the meeting, there will not be a quorum, so we'll have to conclude.
Okay. Let's go through the permitted reports and we'll just go as much as we can until I need to jump. Mr. Sims, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Question of clarification. My understanding was that you didn't want to see new OTBs until the Monarch issue got resolved. My understanding, unless someone tells me different, is that some time ago, Monarch gave contracts to everybody. And therefore, I thought because they had relented and given everybody contracts, that your position on OTBs was only tied to let's get Monarch resolved before we have any new OTBs, because that's our growth. I mean, if we can't have new OTBs, it completely stymies the growth of the track. You know, we used to have 60 of them. Now we've got 40. COVID had a lot to do with that.
Sir,
but
I
like
understand
your
that.
Clarification. Mm-hmm.
I understand that. And I will also tell you that we're keeping a close eye as far as what's happening with your track and what's happening with Arizona Downs. I think Commissioner York's request is reasonable. I would like to see what the horsemen and you have agreed to before we make any additional, before I make any additional movements on my end. It wasn't just shared by me. It sounds like the other two commissioners would like to have a little bit more diligence done before we start assigning or reassigning OTBs in the network. I've also been quite clear in the however many years I've been on this commission that it more often than not feels like these racetracks are more interested in running OTBs than they are actual race meets, and for lack of a better term, negatively impacting the people in the industry as a whole. That's my focus as a commissioner, and will continue to be so. And I realize that drives dollars into those people's pockets, but we need to make sure that the industry as a whole is protected, not just for potentially another year and or others. Mr. Nolan, I know I have you
Yeah.
signed up to
Thank
speak in
you for,
public session.
thank you for clarifying, just so that, and that's good to know. I have no problem with the concept. You want to see what's going to be with the tracks before new OTBs, but I just wanted to know that it wasn't your feeling, because I know at the end you said, well, you know how everybody knows about my feeling about OTBs. As far as the track and running live meet being important, we just got done running a long meet. Even after COVID, we ran a 4-month meet, 85 days of running. And now we just got done with, I don't know, 100 and some odd days of running. So I hope that wasn't directed at Turf Paradise, because we take running at the track and have, seriously, we
It was
put a lot of
it was
effort into
very
it.
much directed at Turf Paradise, in that I think myself and the rest of the commissioners again would like to see where your track is headed. And again, we're looking forward to seeing the agreement that you have just signed with the Horsemen. Since that happened a couple of days ago, I can,
It wasn't
Sir,
signed. It wasn't signed.
sir, I can tell you that I have not seen that agreement. And again, I think that's why the other commissioners and myself would like to see it. As soon as we do, we only tabled your matter. We didn't vote it down. So just
Very
need you to
good.
bear with us while we get our diligence together.
That's reasonable. Just to clarify, it's not been signed. It's in negotiation. Thank you for the
Thank
time.
Appreciate it, sir. I'm going to skip the budget report for this one, just trying to get the rest of our stuff done in the next 4 minutes. Mr. Nolan, I'm not going to have you speak for the permittees. Arizona Downs, any updates on your side?
No, we'll move on.
I appreciate it, sir. And I'm going to go to the HBPA if y'all have any updates there.
Yes, Chairman Coolidge, Commissioners, this is Lloyd Yother, President of the Arizona Quarter Racing Association and the HBPA. We have been in the past few weeks spending enormous amount of time trying to come to an agreement with Turf Paradise for an agreement for a contract for 23-24, and we're still apart. I have no idea what the future holds or which way we're headed, but with all the time and effort spent in the last few weeks, we're still at odds on getting an agreement going forward. I think a lot of it has to do with the new proposed buyer and what Mr. Sims wants to do with the track going forward. I do not know. I do have a conference call this afternoon with a new prospective buyer that maybe can shed some light on this, but unfortunately I couldn't get it done this week because we're spending most of our time trying to get a contract that we could present to the commission and say that we've got a clear path to move. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Look forward to seeing that, and hope that we can come to a quick resolve there.
I do too. Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir. Otherwise, I apologize that we are going to be dropping off without a quorum. And yeah, I guess that's what we'll do for now.
I'll make a motion then, Chairman, to conclude the meeting.
That's a motion to adjourn, and I will second that motion.
Thank you. With the motion by Commissioner French Contreras and a second by Chair Coolidge, I would call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson is absent. Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
Thank you. It is 11:29 a.m. and this meeting has adjourned.
Thank you,
everyone.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.